Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into the technicals behind a stock that's been making some serious waves, EPWK Holdings. We're going to unpack all the data to figure out what's really going on behind its massive price jump. So, let's just start with a number that got everybody talking. A staggering one-day gain of over 29% for EPWK. I mean, a move like this is absolutely explosive, and it really makes you stop and ask, what in the world is going on here? And that really is the central question, isn't it? Is this just a temporary speculative spike, a flash in the pan? Or are we actually witnessing the very beginning of a genuine, sustained breakout? The data tells a pretty fascinating and honestly, a complicated story.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at just how big this leap was. Then, we'll build the bullish argument, the case for a real breakout. After that, we'll play devil's advocate and check out some hidden signals of caution. Then, we'll try to make sense of the very confusing signals coming from trading volume. And finally, we'll lay out 3 potential paths this stock could take from here.
Okay, first up, let's just get our bearings and really understand where EPWK is right now, because its current position is, well, it's full of contradictions. So get this. Despite that huge one-day jump we just saw, the stock is still trading for pennies, incredibly close to its 52-week low. And that's what makes this so interesting, right? You have a stock that's been beaten down for a while, but now it's suddenly showing these incredible signs of life.
All right, now let's build the bullish argument, because there's actually a lot of compelling technical data that suggests this explosive move isn't just a fluke. It could be the start of something really big for EPWK. Before we get into the numbers, we gotta quickly talk about a key term, beta. You can basically think of it as the stock's personality in a chaotic market. A beta below 1 means it tends to be pretty chill when the rest of the market is freaking out.
And wow, this is pretty striking. EPWK's beta is incredibly low, at just under 0.2. To put that in perspective, it means the stock has historically been about 80% less volatile than the market as a whole. So seeing such a stable, quiet stock make such a wild, explosive move is, well, it's highly unusual. And that's a key part of the bullish argument. Now let's talk about the potential upside. Technical analysis is putting the stock's risk-to-reward ratio at over 14 to 1. You know, a number that high is considered exceptionally favorable. It suggests that for every dollar of risk, traders are seeing a potential for more than $14 in reward. That's a number that gets people's attention. And the bullish case gets even stronger when we look at some classic trading indicators. First, the MACD, which measures momentum, is showing positive signs. You can think of it like a train that's starting to pick up speed. At the same time, 2 other indicators, the RSI and stochastics, are in what's called oversold territory. This basically means the stock's been pushed down so hard and so fast, it's like a compressed spring, just ready for a sharp rebound. But okay, let's pump the brakes a little. It's not that simple of a story. There are definitely some signals that urge caution, and they paint a much more complicated picture for anyone getting a little too excited. And here it is, the core conflict. In the short term, yeah, the stock is in a full-on sprint upwards. But when you zoom out, you see it's still running a long-term marathon in the wrong direction. It's still stuck in a pretty well-established downtrend. We can see this exact conflict when we look at the moving averages. The stock has clearly passed its recent tests, its price is above the 5- and 10-day averages, but it's still trading below its 20-day average. So it's kind of like it's acing the quizzes, but still failing the midterm exam. And the crucial point here is that the math backs this up. A statistical analysis of its longer-term price movement confirms this downward trajectory, this negative slope. It's basically the mathematical proof of that persistent bearish trend. So this one-day jump is fighting against a much larger downward current. Okay, now let's dive into one of the most confusing, but maybe one of the most revealing parts of this whole story, the trading volume. This is where we try to figure out if the big money is actually backing this move or not. So, on one hand, you've got the on-balance volume, or OBV. You can think of this like a running tally of a stock's buy and sell pressure. And for EPWK, the OBV is a massive positive $1.94 billion. This suggests that over the long term, there's been a huge accumulation of shares. Big players have been buying in. But then you have this conflicting indicator, the accumulation/distribution oscillator, and it's deeply negative. This tool looks at where a stock closes within its daily price range to see if big money is buying or selling. And a negative number like this suggests that even as the price is surging, there's some serious underlying selling pressure. That's a major red flag. And this divergence, this is the real heart of the puzzle. It means the price chart is screaming buy, but the underlying flow of money is sending a very mixed, and you could even say contradictory, message. It makes you ask, who's buying and who exactly is selling into this rally? So, with all this conflicting data, how in the world do we make sense of what could happen next? Well, analysts have basically mapped out 3 key possibilities based on some critical price levels. So essentially, there are 3 paths. In the bullish scenario, the stock absolutely has to break above that 0.095 resistance level, and it has to do it with strong volume. If it fails and drops below 0.055, then the bearish scenario comes right into play. And of course, it could just trade sideways for a while, consolidating its recent gains. But really, that 0.095 level, that is the one to watch. So, where does all this leave us? Well, when analysts weigh all the evidence, the conclusion actually leans optimistic. Despite those valid long-term concerns, the sheer force of this recent breakout, combined with the oversold conditions and that really favorable risk-reward, it suggests the bulls have the upper hand, at least for now. The data points to a stock that's successfully challenging its long-term downtrend, which could mean a major reversal has begun. And that leaves us with this final provocative thought. EPWK is clearly at a critical crossroads. So now that you've seen the evidence for both sides, the powerful bullish momentum and those lingering bearish undertones, the key question remains, are we watching a genuine reversal in the making, or is this just an elaborate trap for overly eager buyers? The next few trading days are going to tell the story.